Sutton United talked on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United of the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this.
But the whistle goes now. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United, the National League, are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sunday service. Please join in the chat if you want on social media, which is all at Sutton Podcast, or on YouTube, which is a really long link and I don't know what it is. So subscribe to YouTube so I can get that changed. I keep begging, but do it anyway. Joining me today, we've got Stephen. He's come on a little bit earlier for reasons I'll explain in a second. We'll be joined by Jared in a short while as well. But Stephen, hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Good to be here. Thanks for having me on. Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, good. And you are more than welcome. You stand very near me on the curve, although we only really started talking because we met at some of the ladies' matches. So do you go? I know we've seen that a couple, but were you going all season or?
No. I think I was. I don't know if it was the first one you went to, but the one you were at when I first met you was the first one I went to. And
How bizarre!
A bit like yourself, actually, as a way of getting the children out of the house a bit and creating a bit of space for our other halves. So I thought it would be a good thing to do. I've always wanted my I've got two girls. I've always wanted to get them into football a little bit and see some women's matches. And the Sutton games felt like the right opportunity, and they're really enjoying it.
Lovely. Well, we got chatting a couple of the games about different things, and one of the conversations was brought up one of my favourite players ever, Cyril Regis, because he went to my old school, and I just remember him in his England shirt, just looking like an England player should, with just filling it out, and that brought up another conversation about your early years and the teams you support. And I used the word teams. And then I mentioned it on the podcast, probably unfairly. You were quite easily identified and outed. So time to defend yourself.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a two-timer, tell the truth. You know what, I think this is quite normal for... I know Sutton aren't a non-league club, but lots of people who watch non-league football have other teams. So originally I'm from the Midlands, from the West Midlands. So grew up supporting West Brom, and they've been my team since when I was I was brought up a baggy, and even back then though, in those early years of supporting West Brom when I was about 13 or 14. I was two-timing then. I had a non-league bit on the side. Then I was a supporter of Stourbridge as well. That was my local team. So I went to watch Stourbridge in the non-league a lot. But West Brom have always been my team. Actually, going back to Stourbridge, I think the first Stourbridge game I ever saw was against Forest Green Rovers.
Really?
I think it was the Beezer Holmes Midland division at the time. Pretty sure Stourbridge won, but I went back anyway. But I've always followed West Brom home and away as well. Well, I was when I was living in the Midlands. I moved away when I was about 18 from the Midlands. Still support West Brom. Certainly go to London whenever I can. But even back then, Sutton came onto my radar. Obviously, it was the FA Cup against Coventry in 1988, 89, was it? When Coventry were knocked out by Sutton. So that was the first time Sutton came on the radar. And as it turned up, I ended up moving to Sutton back in 2012, I think it was. And I've always been a fan of supporting the team. So would have been what would it have been? Conference South, I suppose, wouldn't it, in 2014? But I had 2 young kids, including a newborn, so I didn't get to many games. But certainly was there when the promotion season to the National League, what was that, 2016, I think?
Yes, yeah.
I got to quite a few games then. Then the 2017, the FA Cup run with London. My wife was actually working at the time for What's On in Sutton, the Facebook group. So
right.
I actually got into those games with a press pass as a pitch side photographer, mainly taking pictures of the crowd, to be honest.
You probably got a picture of my. You probably did the picture of my really old style flag.
I was taking pictures all day. I just seen what's going on with my camera there. It seemed to have went out for a second. But that was, it's been a slow, gradual process of watching Sutton more frequently. This year, a neighbour of mine bought 2 season tickets. I think with the intention of just taking, different friends along to different games. So everyone else can experience the joy that is Sutton United at home. And I'm afraid to say I've been hogging the season tickets quite a bit. Game at home games this season. And, I've been to a few away games too. So what started as a bit of a flirtation, it's sort of become a full-on affair. And now I'm in pretty deep. Now, you asked me who I don't know. I think it's probably above West Brom, but I don't know. Can you have 2 teams? I always thought you could have 2 teams. But
I mean, I think.
Stourbridge, Sutton.
That Stourbridge thing is quite funny because obviously I didn't know that, and yet here I am, got you on the day after we played Forest Green. So all these little things are lining up. It's as if I'm planning it. I can assure everyone that I am not planning these things. I can't actually remember which one it was, whether it was AB or Bruce who said that we're not. It was a couple of years ago now. We're not ashamed to be people's second club. So we were doing a big push on season tickets. We were getting things like Wimbledon supporters, Palace supporters, and it was like, we don't care. We're not bothered about it. But as I used your example, it's now people going, oh, actually now Sutton are in the league, which is my first club, because certain people, obviously with Premier League and these big prices, people are being priced out. There's no denying it. You couldn't dream of sitting there going, I'll tell you what, I'll bring the 2 kids to football, because that's a huge amount of money, especially with all the other bits you buy. Whereas Sutton, all right, you don't really begrudge them coming in and running around like lunatics and not actually watching the football because you're like, that's fine, they're okay. But it does happen that lots of people end up supporting Sutton only because they've popped along for a little while. And as we heard with Gabriel last week, you pop along and you think, oh, I'll volunteer for that. That'll be fine. And then they've hooked you, they've caught you, they've reeled you in.
The thing, I mean, it's a club that's really easy to love. I went to a West Brom game this season. I went away at Millwall. It was a pretty ugly game, to be honest. It was a bit of a hassle getting out, at least half an hour. It was a pretty ugly away end as well. West Brom fans were trying to get rid of the manager. We lost 2-0. And I just can't say I really enjoyed my afternoon of football, to be honest, in stark contrast to an afternoon at Sutton United, which is, we have lost but win, lose or draw, it's always a good afternoon, and the atmosphere is always great. There's a lot of love going on at the moment between the fans and the team and the club. It's just a very positive vibe. And when I went to the West Brom game, it was just such a negative vibe. So it just kind of struck me there's a real stark contrast, and there's a lot to love about non-league football. I was watching Quest actually I say non-league football. I still do.
I know, so do we.
Still very much there for a lot of Sutton fans. But I was watching the Quest last night, and when you get to the lower divisions, it's just interesting looking around at the stadiums and the quirkiness, and the Sutton's got quite a stadium, fair to say. But there's a lot to love about non-league football. You're closer to the game, you're closer to the club. And I've fallen head over heels.
Yeah, there's the little things that you can just. I'm not so sure about the COVID times now, but you certainly able to sit in the bar for a little while afterwards, have a chat with the players. Manager comes in, really, really open, quite happy to have a chat, and it's that little connection. As I've said on various things, I love that little walk around at the end. I'm sure lots of clubs go over and just give their fans a little round of applause, but it just seems a little bit more from our lot, and there is that nice connection. You do say you've fallen in love with everything in the club. I do know there was a complaint, especially as obviously you saw the hats went really well yesterday. So well done, Gareth, on the hats. They were amazing. Should have put them as £15 though, but the hats were really good. But you did have one question or complaint or comment of some of the club merchandise that you mentioned to me.
I have said merchandise here. It's just a little of the paintwork's coming off the mug. And when I mentioned it on the curve, I mentioned that I was drinking tea in the shower, and everyone said, "Well, it's not designed for drinking tea in the shower." I thought everyone drank tea in the shower. I don't know, but
I'm pretty sure no one drinks tea in the shower.
Anyway, I think
I'm not sure.
Stand the shower anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure having tea in the shower was part of the testing process for for the quality controls, but we'll bring it up. I'm sure that I'll get some kind of short statement from Miller about what to do with the tea in the bar.
Okay.
And I'm worried you brought that to work now because you're in your office and you've got the shower mug at work.
Yep. No, I brought it in. It's because the paintwork's coming off. It's been substituted. It's been relegated to my work mug now.
To the work one. Lovely.
More bus model, hopefully, for the shower at home.
Yeah, so we were talking about ladies' matches a little while ago. Unfortunately, there isn't one today. I was kind of planning this early because I was convinced there was going to be another match. You weren't going to go to that one either because you're taking in a different sport again today, are you?
Yeah, I've got the daughters with me, and we're going to watch London Lions in the basketball. They play the so we're going to give that a go this afternoon at the Olympic Park.
Excellent. And you watch much basketball or?
No, none at all. I think this will be my first football game. I just watched the Last Dance. Michael Jordan documentary on Netflix recently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got me interested in basketball, so I saw there was a London Lions team, so I thought, I'll just check them out today.
Give that a go, yeah. Well, as I said, I thought from the fixtures we were supposed to play Dulwich, and I did have some serious concerns about taking Rosie to watch a team in pink play Sutton, because I was like, I'm not going to be able to sell this, but unfortunately it's off. So I'm not sure the reasons behind it, but it's been enjoyable down there, though, hasn't it? We've certainly got value for money for
you get gold money. You really do. What was it? Was it 8-1? A few weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a 7-1, a 5-4, and I can't remember the other one. It was just
you kind of lose.
Yeah, you do. I mean, on the first, I think the first one was 7-1, and I was sitting there with Rosie, and she's going, "Will we score 7?" I was like, "No, we won't score 7. Don't be silly." And then they just kept going in, and she kept saying, "So we're going to score 7?" Okay, shush.
It kind of set the bar really high for kind of entertainment value. So I did warn. I tried to manage expectations for the children for the next game, but actually it was a bit of a goal fest then as well. So
that we went 4-1 down in that game, and did kind of wonder whether they would be able to come back and what it'd be like, because the standard seems to be really varied of the teams they play. So you did kind of wonder that do they get a bit complacent, I think is the word, but no, they fought back, and the one that threw me was when they took Darcy had scored a hat-trick, I think, and they took her off, or she'd scored 2, sorry, and they took her off, and I was like, hang on a minute, she's banging these goals and they've taken her off, and then 10-15 minutes later they put her back on. It was like rolling subs. Yeah, okay, I get it now. I should probably check these things out, but it was it's all good fun. It's all good games, and anyone who wants to get down there, please do. It's always nice to see more and more people supporting the ladies' sides. But we will move on. I know Jared is trying to join us, but we will move on to start chatting about the Forest Green match yesterday. So ahead of the match, what were your thoughts and expectations?
Well, I predicted I was asked what I thought the score would be. I predicted 2-1 because I never see the point in predicting a defeat. I mean, that's a very kind of pessimistic way of looking at life. But deep down, I did think this was going to be. Before the match, I would have absolutely taken a draw. But I did think if Sutton were going to slip up, this was obviously one where they could, because just the form of Forest Green at the moment is they're just on fire. They're scoring goals for fun. So yeah, a little bit nervous going into the game. Expectations weren't super high, but I was hoping to get something out of it, and I think we did.
Absolutely. I don't know why, but I always thought we were going to get something out of that game. I genuinely don't know why. Jared is with us now, so we're just going to say a quick hello to Jared, and we'll ask his thoughts quickly before the game. Hi, Jared. You all right?
Can you hear me?
Yes, definitely can hear you.
Hey, Jared.
Hi there. I can hear you now. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. I was just asking Stephen his thoughts ahead of the game. What were you thinking before the Forest Green match? Were you hoping for much out of it?
Sorry, is that me and Stephen? Sorry.
That's to you, Jared.
So yeah, Forest. To be honest, I had no real expectations. Looking at Forest Green's form this season, and given the fact we've drawn our last 3 home games for yesterday, I was like, anything would be nice here. And something, so that was nice.
Yeah, I was literally just saying that for some reason I looked at this fixture a few weeks ago, and I said this to Chalmers before the match, and I just thought we're going to get something out of this. I mean, in my mind, it was we were going to win against Salford, get the 50 points. Bristol Rovers, get the 50 points, and then move on with our lives, and then start reeling them back in. Obviously, that didn't work, but we did get the magic 50. So yay! Whoop, whoop. So lineup threw me a little bit. I think I got 7 out of 11 on the lineup with a few different changes. I didn't know that Robert had picked up a small injury. But what were you guys' thoughts on the lineup ahead of the game?
It was good to see Alistair Smith back, wasn't it? That was that was a boost beforehand. But yeah, Jared.
Yeah, definitely. It was nice to see Alistair Smith back in the squad. I knew Craig Eastman was injured, but I didn't realise that Tanto and Milson were. So, so I was a little bit shocked. But so, given those 2 guys were injured, it was pretty much the lineup I would have expected, given the players we had available. It was also extremely nice to see Kobe and Harry on the bench in the squad for the first time in gosh knows how long.
Yeah, two basically new signings. That will be when it starts coming into the next part of the season. But saying that, obviously we've got Harry on his way back. Hopefully it's going to be a short one. But how about Kenny again? Great game. And a great free kick.
It was an absolute peach, wasn't it? It was absolute. I've watched it about 7-8 times this morning. I think when I got up, and it just it just gets better over time. Lovely. But in terms of the whole performance, I just thought Sutton were just absolutely on it from the word go, and it was they looked really sharp. In real contrast, I thought, to the Salford game actually, where I don't know, they were huffed and puffed and looked a little bit sluggish, but yeah, I just thought it was it just felt like a rejuvenated team on Saturday, right from the off. And obviously, as you say, great kick from Kenny to take the lead.
Yeah, I mean, you do get to wonder whether the season is now going to catch up, because, as you say, Salford, it was a bit of a huff and a puff game. And then 4 days later, they do this.
But how much do we miss Alistair and Kenny when they're not in the team? I think obviously you see the contrast to Tuesday where our midfield, not to disparage anyone in our team on Tuesday, but I think Alison Smith has been like a revelation since he signed for us this season, and you see that quality he brings into the centre midfield, and then you had Kelly, who's on his days, as over the last 5 years he's been at the club, he's been fantastic. Every time we've needed him, he's been amazing, and I think that's perhaps the biggest for me difference between Tuesday and yesterday was who's available to match selects, and I think that improved our performance because there's little. I mean, with Alison, there's sometimes just the little touches that he had that just makes things easy to play through the middle sometimes. Whereas Tuesday we're knocking balls forward, as I want, but at least yesterday we had the opportunity to mix things up a little bit, and you had two midfielders who were experts in playing the ball through the middle without any fuss, and also how Will Randall was, again, who didn't start on Tuesday, but started yesterday. No. What fantastic cover he was for the defence. A couple of times in the first half, I was standing behind the goal, behind the Gander Green Lane ends. You just saw a couple of times how Will Randall's wonderful ball in defensive situations that led immediately to attack. So playing through the middle or Brian with the ball. That's something we had on Tuesday because again Will wasn't playing, but it's something so we were able to mix up. But that's why on another day our team on Tuesday got a win. It's just that particular case. Matt has at the moment that when we have everyone available, he can mix things up. He can bring in players we need for particular games, and we get something out of it and get better performances on time.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Well, not surprised, but Ben, again, another game. I feel really, really sorry for Ben because there was one game I think against Swindon where I was like, "Oh, he's getting run ragged here." But I think a lot of our players were getting run ragged for the first half hour or so. But I feel a bit sorry for him because pretty much apart from that one game, every other game he's come on, he's been absolutely solid. But unfortunately, he's got Rob in front of him who brings just that little bit more with the set pieces. Although, to be fair, Kenny brought something with the set pieces yesterday. So yeah, but I thought again, Ben had another great game. But yeah, I'd said it yesterday. I remember Dean making, I think, 1 or 2 saves. There was one in particular I remember him making. And I was like, so they didn't offer a huge amount. Their goal, I didn't quite see it because it was at the far end and I'm blind. But their goal looked like a good goal. Apparently, one of their penalty shouts was quite a good one. But I think it was the second of the 2, and the first one was so obvious that I think the referee was probably swayed not to give it because of the second, because of the first. But they didn't offer a huge amount. You was expecting them to just absolutely run us ragged. But that's got to be a testament to the players.
It wasn't that much going forward, to be honest. Not as much as I was expecting. They didn't pose the threat I was expecting. You mentioned the penalty, the second penalty shout. I didn't see it on the day, but watching back the replay today, it was Ben Goodliff. He grabbed his thigh and pulled him down. It was for me. It was an absolute penalty. So we got away with that one. These even themselves out. But I also I don't know. For me, the ball may well have crossed the line in the second half. Joe Kizzy was it who? It looked like it was cleared off the line, but for me, where I was standing on the curve, it looked like it may have, the whole ball may have crossed the line. So these things even themselves out.
Yeah, no, I filmed that and I put that up as well. And first thing, I thought he'd done it. On the video, I thought he'd done it. And so I watched the video and I took a little screenshot. And then on the screenshot that I didn't sit and study, it was just literally just a quick screenshot. On the screenshot, it's like, oh, actually, that ball might have crossed the line, but there's no way. It would be wonderful if we had all the goal time, the technology, but there's no way anyone could have seen that.
And referee's got to give the benefit of doubt to the defensive team. And the guy the defender was literally on the line. His standing foot was on the line. You've got to give the benefit of the doubt. If you're not sure, and you can't, the referee's not sure, he can't give it, can he? Again, it's the same with the penalty shouts. if the officials aren't sure, they can't give it. It's just one of those.
No.
We want to appreciate, and sometimes as much as we can study things and overanalyze things afterwards with videos, what have you, the referee's got a split-second decision to make.
Exactly.
And sometimes I'm guilty of this myself. Numerous occasions, every match, I'll be like, "Oh, wait, you see that referee? Wait, you see that?" But with the because I wasn't too sure. So again, I was behind the goal, so how it was it had the best angle because I was to the goals to the right of me, so I was to the left of the goal, so they had the best angle anyway. I wasn't too sure at the time, but then the picture afterwards on the video you put up on Twitter and I was like, yeah, it looks at it. At the same time, it's like, does it? I analyze it. I spent a couple of minutes looking at it to decide across the line. The referee doesn't have that, does he?
No, absolutely. And I mean, this is one of the funny things, and why Sutton fans are a very odd bunch, because pretty much that's the opinion of everyone of, oh well, you know what, it might have been across the line, but there's no way the ref can be sure, and fair play to so there'll be other teams screaming about that it's a bias against them from all officials ever. No, I didn't put it up because I was thinking, oh my god, look at this. It's just I literally just every now and then I whip the camera out just to see if I get anything interesting. And I think up until yesterday it was once in like 10 years. I've got David doing some step overs. So it was just as someone had said, oh, VAR, I think it was you or someone you with Stephen, someone had said, oh, we need VAR. And I just thought, let me watch that back. And it was like, oh, let me just see. I
wouldn't have said that. I'm not a massive fan of VAR.
No, it might have been someone you were with or someone just ahead of you guys, but
VAR's taken away that moment, hasn't it? Where you kind of, you get that moment when the ball's gone in, and you used to just celebrate automatically, and now it's like you kind of have to watch and wait.
You have to wait, and then it's a watered down version.
The goal line technology of the Premier League, it's pretty much instantaneous. Referee gets like a buzz on their wristwatch. On the wrist, so there's no debate. So, for example, if it's a disallowed goal, they'll still get the buzz because the technology has registered the goal going to the line. That would have happened yesterday. It had crossed the line, of course. We think it did, but again, we're debating it. We can't say for sure, and we could.
No, absolutely not. And it's the other thing to really remember. It's all of the ball across all of the line. Yeah. So if 1 millimetre of the ball isn't over one blade of grass, then it's not actually a goal. So it wasn't a goal anyway because the referee said it wasn't a goal. So there we go. But still 1-1 draw. Very creditable with the league leaders. Brings up the 50 points as we've mentioned. So what's next? What do we want now? Now we've got our magic 50. What the hell am I going to talk about?
Promotion.
Well, I've got 2 dates in my diary, 2 Wembley dates in my diary. So the expectations are high with me.
I've only got the 1 Wembley date in my diary. Let's push on for 3rd. Why not? Why not? Why can't we push on for 3rd? It's first of all, as an exile, it does save me a lot of money and travel if you get also promotion. So I'm thinking about my wallet if I just anything. Also, why not? We're 2 points behind at the moment, but we've got 16 games. The minimum games left. There's 16 games left. So there's a lot of football to be played. We've got Mansfield and Newport bank holiday weekends. We've got some big games. Everyone's got to play each other still in the top 7, the promotion in the automatic and let's go Forest Green Lane, not a factor anymore. So everyone from 2nd to 8th have got to play each other at least once. Various different formations. Why not aim for promotion? I've only got the 1 Wembley date in my diary, and that's for the John's Trophy.
I do think
the other day in my diary is Harrogate away. We secure promotion in the first spot. For once I've been incredibly optimistic. I'd be happy. I'm still happy with avoiding relegation. Let's face it.
Well, that's the thing. For a lot of Sutton fans, the objective would be to sustain the division this year. But I think at this stage of the season, the way Sutton are playing, the way that it's all panning out, I think most Sutton fans would be actually disappointed not to finish in the playoff places, but absolutely, I think automatic's achievable now. But not to finish in the playoff places now, I think would be, to be honest, a little bit disappointing.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've kind of said, I've said from the start, and similar to Jared, why the hell are we being optimistic with Sutton fans? But from the start, it was like, we're going to be fine this season. But by fine, I meant middle to the lower end of the table. And realistically, if that happened now, you'd still kind of have to look back the whole season going, no, that's still solid. But if it happened now, you'd be gutted because that would mean it is a terrible second half of the season. But I don't think it's gonna. As we said, we looked a bit leggy on Tuesday, thinking, okay, this is going to be the start of downward maybe, and then just completely refreshed yesterday. So whatever they're doing is just absolutely amazing. And yeah, I would hope for playoff spots. But it's a weird thing for us to be seeing third as a promotion spot.
Yeah.
Because we used to like champions and that's it. But yeah, finishing in third suddenly is a big achievement because we can go up. I did see one person suggesting, yes, we would massively struggle at League One, but actually it would guarantee us at least 3 years of league football if we went up, even if we got relegated the following 2 seasons. But yeah, I don't know much about League Two. I don't know anything about League One. I can't believe even that's been discussed.
I'm just looking at the away days, to be honest.
Sorry, Jarvis, go again.
I was looking at the away days in League One, to be honest. You got potentially next season Portsmouth, Sheffield Wednesday, Sunderland, Derby County, Reading, Cardiff City, which is useful for me. Then you potentially got Wimbledon staying up as well. Charlton, you've got so many just interesting away days. So the fan side of me wants to see it, but the risk. I saw that comment as well. But us, potentially struggling in League One. They said that we're potentially struggling in League Two. They said we're potentially struggling in the National League. We shouldn't go. What we've seen in the last 18 months, particularly the last 18 months, as 2 years, 18 months as caused, in terms of the team. These, since November 2019, since we had turned around the form, 2019, so November 2019, we've just seen the team just step up to level every time they've been asked to step up to the level. We've seen the club step up to level every time they've been asked to step up to the level. It's going to be challenging. Football's challenging. I remember, back in the mid 2000s, where we were happy to be in the Conference South, where we were happy to be here. We're having fun. That's all that matters. Don't want to push ourselves. We might, push ourselves too far. What ended up happening? 2007, 2008. 24 points in football in a season, 5 league wins in a season. But for me, so I had this thing where the attitude of happy to be here leads to disaster. You've got to push yourself as a football club, and that's what we've been doing since 2008. That's what we've been doing as a club. Gradually, not like 2 massive steps. We take each challenge that comes along, and we're thriving. So keep going. Why not push? Why not push? The sky's the limit.
Stephen?
I think yesterday, just leaving the game yesterday, we were playing the league leaders, and truth be told, I was a little bit disappointed even with a point. So I don't think we should settle for anything less than whatever it is achievable. I don't know what's going to be achievable. I know I've got a bit of a headache when if Sutton get up to the Championship and West Brom is still there, then I've got to make, haven't I? But I'm looking forward to making that decision.
Yeah, I mean, I was shaking my head at one of the names there because I'm fairly convinced if we're going to go up, it's going to be fated that Wimbledon come down and we miss them again, the same as we did those few years ago.
We've only had one season in the same league as either Wimbledon FC or AFC Wimbledon since World War II, at least, if not before. 1963, 1964 season. But since then, they've like Wimbledon FC, obviously Southern League, then then Football League, whatever. We're in the Eastern League, and then we met, we passed the ships in the night in 2008, and AFC Wimbledon. But I would love to see get on the train yesterday at Sutton to go to West Sutton, so it was 2 days to walk. It was just to see how many AFC Wimbledon fans on the train that were going past West. It was just nice to to get one over to play in the same league, just for that local bragging rights. I miss proper local derbies, not Bromley, actual proper local derbies,
Go on, you can say it. We all know you were desperate to talk about.
To Richard.
Yeah. I was gonna try and find how many days it was since we lost to Carshalton in a competitive match just for today, but then my life took over. I couldn't work it out. So
December 27, 1998.
There you go.
I love you so much. I knew you. Do you rock on that day and just go? How did we lose that?
I said to him December 27th, 2003, to be honest. Or on December 27th, 1998.
Yeah. I did one of these live videos I did with that T-shirt on, the 6-0 T-shirt, and it didn't end up going out because the Colchester match ended up being called off. So I was like, I've squeezed into this T-shirt from 20 years ago or whatever, for no reason. Anyway, we'll move on. Right, so quickly moving on to Tuesday night. What do we feel is? Oh no, not hang on. I think you've both kind of said some names. I want to know about your nominations for the pod. So, player of the day. Who do you think is worth nominating? You have said some names. I've scribbled them down, which is why I nearly missed it. But who are your nominations for the player of the day? We'll go with you first, Stephen.
Well, actually, there's quite a lot of potential players of the day there. I thought Will Randall had a great game. Alistair Smith. It was a lovely little passage of play that Alistair Smith started down in front of the curve where we had 3 shots on goal in 30 seconds. So many good performances yesterday. But I think for the free kick, for the peach of a free kick, I'd go with Kenny Davis, I think.
Okay, lovely. Jared?
Will Randall. And then possibly Ben White as well. But definitely Will Randall. I thought he was the great link between defence and attack for the 80 minutes he was on. I think, and this is again not a criticism of the substitution or who came on. I think our level of attacking intensity did drop when Will came off. Although we did have those row pages afterwards, so
yeah.
But
well,
I definitely felt he had his best game for us since his injury gets stopped last season.
Well, the 4 names I put down to put on the poll was Alistair, Kenny, Ben, and Will. And between the two of you, you've covered them all as well. So they're definitely 4 names I put forward onto the poll, and then people can make their choice. And I'll announce that tomorrow. No, I can't remember now when it works out, but it's about a day anyway, whatever. But yes, Bristol Rovers. So what are our thoughts ahead of Tuesday?
Don't worry, stupid penalty. FA Cup game, home league game, stupid penalties cost us both times, and they're both penalties. They're both clear penalties, but they were stupid penalties to give away in both games. Don't give away a stupid penalty. We might get a win here. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm sure Matt might cover that. Stephen, what do you think?
Well, we've played them quite recently, haven't we? So when you play 2 teams in close proximity, there can be quite tight games. Teams know each other quite well. So I don't know. I think Sutton might sneak it. I've got a feeling that I think they'll get an away day win there for Sutton, 2-1.
Yeah, I think the 50 points is going to be a big thing for us now. It's either going to be, okay, we've done it and that's it. However, I suspect the characters in the changing room are not going to be, well, we've done it now, that's it. It's going to be go the other way and go, oh, well, that's it now. We can relax and play completely differently. There's been talk last few weeks about the home pitch struggling a little bit. So maybe we need a few away games just to get the ball down a little bit more. But you'll be pleased to know I'm not doing the predictions. I don't know if you picked it up last time, but I saved all the predictions, did this lovely spreadsheet, and I couldn't work out a way that I was winning, so I'm now not doing them. So
that's the best kind of attitude to have. If I can't
exactly,
win,
yeah. If I can't win, I'm taking my ball home and I'm not playing anymore. There was one other little just thing I wanted to raise, and I'm sorry to put you guys on the spot a little bit, but there's been a few things come up from home games. Last couple, and it's about the banter / abuse. So there's 2 specific things I just wanted to go through. So there does seem to be lots of new supporters, which we know. We've gone from 800, 1,000 people to 3,000 people, very quick succession. Now, I thought, and I did read an article in the Athletic, which was about trouble at football matches, which we're far from. But it's saying that there's lots of incidents at football matches. It's something like up 40% or something over the whole thing, the country. Sorry. And one of the reasons it put it down to, and I hadn't quite worded it, but this is where I was thinking, is there are a lot of new people coming to football, and a lot of the older people aren't there anymore for various reasons to kind of teach. So we're all a similar age bracket. I know you're a bit younger than us, Jared, sorry, but we're similar-ish ages so the older people would have been saying to us, we go and tell those kids to shut up, and potentially would have been just standing with them a little bit, teaching them. But how do some of the kids realise the difference between when someone makes a mistake, the whole crowd shouting wanker, 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 saying that's okay, to then calling someone an inbred and a sex offender is not okay? How do we teach them what is acceptable or not?
It's not just a subtle problem either.
No. Sorry, don't get me wrong. I know this is a TikTok, Instagram likes, funny, always this hilarious, and then trying to copy the behaviour. Yeah. I get that. I'm not saying it's just Sutton at all.
Because I went to a game in the Welsh League quite recently, where it was great to see those two groups which you don't really see at Welsh football, Welsh domestic football. Like two groups of young people supporting their teams passionately, but then you start hearing words like nonsense. You hear things. The kids set up a flare. Both sets of fans set up flares, and it's just like it's a problem. And I was speaking earlier in the season when you see that lots of fans run onto pitches, and it's not just kids either. It's all about people in their 20s and 30s are running onto pitches just for likes on social medias and what have you. Mm-hmm. And this probably happened before the pandemic. And look at the Arsenal game as instances of that. But I think it's got a lot more pronounced in since the start of this season. And I think a lot of it may be to the fact because people just act up just in general. I was out on the way home last night in Swansea City Centre, and people just acting up who weren't back to that before because they're out for the first time in 2 years. I think there's a lot of pent up stupidity. But going back to what you said, how do we set an example? What can we do? It's about setting an example. I remember when I was those kids' age, I was just as bad. I feel sorry for anyone who had to be near me back in 20 odd years ago when I was stupid and dumb. I'm still stupid and dumb, but I'm less so. And a lot of it's because of the example of people first of all saying, "What are you doing, Jared? Stop being an idiot all your life," and then set a good example. I mean, one of the great things about this season about the massive increase of fans is how many of those fans coming to the grounds are families, are teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, I was by a group of teenagers yesterday who I hadn't seen before. Loved it. They were good as gold. They were supporting the team. They were getting behind the team. Yeah, there was some odd comments here and there, but that's odd comments are odd comments. But for the most part, they were great, and the majority of people are great. At Stevenage away, the group of lads behind us who were just shouting it out, just while abusing the keeper for most of the second half. So one of the guys behind us, sat next to me, just turned around and said, "Shut up," and they shut up. So they got behind the rest of the game, but no one that stupid baiting for the sake of baiting of someone. I think so. There is responsibility to tell one or two people to tell people to shut up and just act sensibly, and then set the example of how to do. It's a long-term process though, and it may take a while for some kids to realise stop being idiots. Speaking from personal experience of myself.
Yeah, I mean, this one of the greatest things in my life is that social media did not exist when I was young and making all my mistakes. I do get it, and I would kind of there is that element of this article I was reading were calling for banning orders for all sorts of things, and I'm sitting there going, hang on a minute, if you're 15, 16 and you make a mistake. Obviously, you shouldn't. There's things you shouldn't be doing. But banning you for life, they were calling lifetime bans for certain things. It was like, well, hang on, how's that person ever going to learn? But yeah, sorry, Stephen, just your views as well on just the whole.
No, are things getting worse, or am I just getting older and kind of seeing things that maybe I didn't see in my younger years? I don't know. Like Jared, no, I was an idiot at football matches, I'm sure. But it's great to see the youth element in Sutton. And when I walked in the gate yesterday, behind the goal, there's just so many young people, and that's brilliant for the football club. But they do bring with them some immaturity, and I think some of the baiting of the goalkeepers has been particularly kind of nauseating this season, where, a bit of banter is great, but it's kind of been 45 minutes of solid abuse, sometimes. And I do think it is on more mature people, maybe, to just call them out a bit. And, whenever you hear whatever it is, misogyny, racism, homophobia, whatever, actually call it out. Just have a word. And I think that's the only thing we can do. And they need to be told that what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And I do think people should be allowed to make mistakes. I don't see people banned for life for making a mistake or being a bit of an idiot. But, they do need to be told. Otherwise they won't learn. But I do think it's a broader problem. Like, I was at Millwall West Brom a few weeks ago, and I said to a few people after the match, it was like being back in the 80s. I don't know if it was because it was Millwall or because West Brom fans were particularly unhappy with the way things were going with the club there. But it was an ugly atmosphere. And, there was 3 flares thrown on the pitch. There was a seat ripped up, thrown on the pitch. And, it's not the sort of environment I've been in for quite a long time. So I don't know if things are getting worse or not. Let's not have a moral panic about it. But if there is anything going on, then it needs to be kept in check, and we need to get on top of it, because we don't want to go back to those dark days of the 70s and 80s, because football's a much nicer thing to take your families to now.
Absolutely,
we want to keep it that way.
Yeah,
I think it's also key to notice it's not just kids, it's not just teenagers. I mean, I'm sure one of the more prominent female supporters on social media and on the club's
that was the other incident I was going to mention.
I was reading that, and regardless of my personal affection and affiliation to this person, I was horrified. First of all, someone attending a football match can feel that way in 2022. That someone feels that way at Sutton United Football Club. We're a good club. We've always prided ourselves on being a tolerant, open-minded group of people watching this football club. And yes, there are some instances in the past. I remember one poor Stainstown goalkeeper getting horrible abuse for wearing a pink kit like a few years back. And so there has happened in the past where I felt bad, felt ashamed and stuff. But generally, we're good people. But the person that the thing that was struck me most was the fact that she mentions it wasn't a kid, it was an adult, probably our age, doing it, and doing the worst. But again, when someone's called it out and when someone's attention to, it was, the situation can at least start to be rectified if we call it out, and it's up to us as not just, it shouldn't be just up to the victim, whether it be a female football supporter, a football supporter of a different race or ethnicity or different sexual orientation, who should call this out. It should be up to all of us to call. If we see it, we should call it out. And I say this, no, I'm a full-blood, I'm a moral coward, and I need to step my game up and call it out when I see it. But if we call it out, then that's the first step to stopping it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, as I said, that was the other incident I was going to bring up, because I had made the assumption it was going to be kids being the bravado and aren't I funny? I mean, just back on the goalkeepers for just a sec. The goalkeeper yesterday, apparently he said to someone that a great team, but he was a little bit pissed off with some of the remarks from behind the goal, which does change from years back, where you'd have a bit of a laugh and a bit of banter with the goalkeeper, and you tell them they were shit and all the rest of it. And at the end of the match, they usually kind of turn around and give you a little wave and like very fun. Or if something was particularly good, like I know Wayne had two sides of the coin, where he did kind of often turn around and go, yeah, very funny. And then there was the other time at Kingstonian where he didn't find it so funny.
They were Kingstonian fans, let's be fair.
Yeah, no one said he wasn't justified, but then I was really shocked when I sort of said to her, well, hang on, was that our brats or was that their brats? And she said, no, it was mature men, which I was like, oh my God, that's worse. Because I kind of, as I said, assumed it was, as we said, people needing to learn, grow up a little bit, become a bit mature, but it wasn't. It was mature people telling her that I didn't write the words down because I think I've memorized them. It's all right. That's just football. You'll get it when you come more often. Turns out it's his second match at Sutton, and it is roughly her 1500th match at Sutton.
Sounds like she's not even missed that many Sutton games that are behind closed doors in 20 years. No, know
exactly what it's like at Sutton. But as you say, it's not just having the bravery to go up. Now, this was an unfortunate set of incidents where there was a lot of people around that didn't really know. And again, even if it was, do we need to be going to Stevenage and going, oh, you, and all that kind of stuff? It's about balance of making them feel certainly uncomfortable. You can't stop people thinking comments, but saying these comments, potentially, do we want someone like that coming back to Sutton? Not really. It was comments it was actually directed to a female steward, which again, you then question, as has been questioned, why the male stewards didn't kind of step in. But maybe she doesn't want them to. We don't know that. We don't know her view. She might have said, no, absolutely don't do anything. But yeah, it's just disappointing, really, to read these things. Now, hopefully, it will be one of those things that, along with some of the comments with the kids, kind of gets dragged out. We are getting lots of new visitors. The only thing we can say is at least it's someone who we've not seen before, because that'd be even more disappointing if it was someone that we kind of knew. But aside from it being pointed out to us, how can we notice these things? Because I know I don't notice any of these things because I'm sitting there staring at the match. I've learned not to say, well, I didn't hear it, so it didn't happen. I know that because we saw that even at the Crawley match, where straight away when Kobe was abused, all the Crawley fans were like, well, I didn't hear it. It doesn't matter whether you heard it or not.
I think it's a case. I mean, again, I try to focus on the game itself. I have banter with my mates, what have you. But it's like perhaps the thing going forward then to the next couple of games, maybe it's like to if you listen to someone, listen to their experiences. Then you try to listen to what's going on around you. So try and be so focused on yourself. Just try this because you know it's happened. So perhaps maybe just try to listen around. And I feel bad because myself, because I normally stand with this person. And because when it was guys, it was happy yesterday. So I mean,
don't get. It would have happened whether you were standing there or not.
Yeah,
so
no, I'm not saying that at all. It's just like so take that to yesterday. There's other been instances in the past where, and someone says to me afterwards, "Oh, that's bad, that's horrible." But then I've not done anything about it going forward. I've then become so wrapped up in myself, I don't really think about it afterwards either. So perhaps next time, so the lesson perhaps I as an individual can learn is that to listen out for it next time, and then to, for example, those who do say do stand up to follow their example as well, maybe.
Yeah. Stephen, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't hear it, you can't really call it out, can you? I mean, I can honestly say I can't remember the last time I heard any racism, for example, at a football match, misogyny. I don't think it's a terrible problem at the moment, but clearly there are isolated problems, and it is beholden on those who witness it, those who see it, to speak out and call it out and do something about it, because you can't allow, you can't rely on, you can't leave it to whoever's the victim of the abuse to do it themselves. We have to stand together, and if you do hear it, if you do see it, call it out.
Yeah, I think also, as we're saying, it's potentially we don't hear it because you don't choose to stand in places where you might have heard something you thought, oh, you know what, and you just move rather than calling it out. You just I mean, who knows why I've chosen where to stand on there? I just am fixed to that spot. But is it because at some point I've heard things in the past that I didn't like and I've just wandered off somewhere else? Certainly don't stand with Jared because of.
I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say that with me.
But yeah, no,
they're all jokes.
Just don't turn a blind eye. I think that's the, you know, that I mean, talking about it now is a good thing. You know, anyone who hears it will know that, you know, the rest of us don't find it acceptable. But yeah, I think you just have to. I
think it's about potentially having a quiet word with your mates. If they just kind of, oh, do you know what? It's not funny anymore. It might have been funny when all these comedians and stuff were doing it on TV in the 80s and 70s, but it's not so funny anymore now. It's something we got to keep our eyes open on, and certainly we don't want that Sutton to get a reputation for this kind of stuff. But as we said, it isn't just Sutton's problem; it's everywhere. That doesn't mean it doesn't need to be fixed. We might need to take the lead on fixing it, but at least there is that it's not just us having the problem. But certainly we don't like it here, and we prefer our little quieter club where everyone's happy. On that, everyone's happy. Did you all see the tweets from was it Aaron from I think he's the Daily Star sports editor, and he was like, I'm at a football league club where one of the officials is standing in the bar in a shiny jacket waving $2,000 in the air. Never change, Sutton United, never change. I mean, it's those kind of things that make everyone love the club, because it's all these little bizarre little things that we do. And I think the general consensus is, and you were kind of hinting at it as we opened, Stephen, is we're taking non-league to the football league. We're not forgetting our roots. We're not forgetting where we come from. We're just taking it all the way to the Premier, to the League One. On that slightly happier note, but it is a serious message about, if you hear it, call it out, guys. But I will let you go because I know you're going to need to get off to the match in a minute, Stephen. Thank you very much for your time, gents. Thank you everyone for listening. And please, if you've got any comments, any thoughts, any ideas, you can obviously send them to the club. Comment to me if you want, and I'll send them to the club on your behalf at Sutton Podcast or mike@suttonpodcast.com. And take care. Thank you all for your time.
Cheers.
United!